Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for being here. It's good to be back. Well, I guess I haven't been anywhere, but we just finished up a 3-part series on modern Damascus steel. I was working on an order, and it's always good to be able to combine stuff you got to do with some good content. So that's great. Some of you guys were wondering why I wasn't looking in the camera when I was talking. I was trying to make it all, like TV and whatnot. Anyway. So thanks for watching that. Got some stuff to do. I put out a poll on the channel here asking who all might be willing to put in a deposit for a pre-order on a custom forged rounding hammer for blacksmithing, and I gotta say the response from you guys is pretty awesome. Last time I looked at it, well over 300 of you said that you would want to put in a deposit for a hammer, to order a hammer. And that's awesome. First thing I need to do is make some tooling for my press, because the hammers that I made so far have been by hand, and there's no way that I'm going to tackle any sizable orders by hand on that. It just wouldn't work. Excuse me, getting over a cold too, that's kind of it's always fun. You remember the good old days when you could feel like you had the plague, like everybody did it every so often and nobody freaked out, they didn't shut the whole world down? Back in 2019. Anyway, working through that, but getting on the other side of it a little bit. So I bought some H13 steel, which is designed to be used at abnormally high temperatures. So even when this steel gets up to a red heat, it deforms very little. Now, I have never worked with it before, but everything I've read or seen about it, rather difficult to forge for that very reason, which is good, but it's going to make it more difficult to make this tooling. Anyway, let's jump into it. The 4140 stuff that I've been using, you can make tooling, you can make punches and drifts out of that, and they work. They just don't hold up very well. And so if I'm going to make multiple quantities of hammers and hatchets and axes, we need better tooling. So this is the stock that I got, 1.5 inches. And it's not cheap. I had to order it in from Speedy Metals, I think. But I hacked off, this is horrible, don't look at that. I hacked off a piece 2.5 inches long of this stuff, and that should give us a good punch for the hammers that's going to be mounted on the press. So let's fire the forge up and see what we can do here. Alright, well, that's heating up in the forge. We got to do something about this bench over here. It kind of runs along this wall, and it's the last of the lousy shelves that were in here when I moved in, and I never really dealt with it. But I need to move that out because I have a super cool tool coming to the shop. Nothing fancy, but something that's absolutely necessary, and that is a metal bandsaw, because there's no way I'm going to be cutting all those hammer stock pieces by hand. Anyway, we need to make room for that. Alright, well, there it is. Forge is pretty easy at heat with the press, of course. But I think I got what I want there with the shape and everything, and we'll just have to let it cool down and clean it up on the grinder, and then we can go ahead and try to mount it onto the press. Alright, let me show you what we got going on here. So this is the new die plate. But the punch is not going to go directly onto that. We're going to put this on there first and then put the punch onto this 1 inch bar to make sure that we have some good rigidity for keeping that punch from tipping side to side or anything like that. Okay, so this deal goes like so. I'd say that's about perfect. Alright, the next crucial step is going to be making this flat and square with the axis of this punch. Okay, it's actually raining here. Let's see, we'll use a super high-tech system to see if we are actually that's really close. I'm gonna call that good. We'll go ahead and test it out real quick here. Make sure there's nothing horribly off. Well, I already ran into a problem. I gotta carve this out some more before I can actually run the punch all the way down, so gotta do that next. Alright guys, well there it is. Haven't tried it yet. We'll see what happens. I think it's time to do a little trial run. But the punch comes about within a quarter inch of the bottom plate here, so I think we should be able to give it a run without making the block down there. So let's hack off a piece of 1045 and see what happens. actually had to punch that hammerhead twice because I got my 4140 steel drift stuck in it. Kind of stupid, but in the meantime, getting that re-punched, I forged out a H13 drift, which will be primarily for the press, but I still don't have a block to push through, so I'm not sure how I'm going to build that yet. Probably need to get that going here. Anyway, we'll forge ahead by hand and get this hammer finished anyway. Alright, well, I learned a valuable lesson here, and that is that I need to forge my stock down closer to the finished dimensions before I start punching holes in it and stuff. Got a little excited, I guess. So this hammer is a little funky looking, but go ahead and finish forging it out. But basically I closed the eye back all the way up pretty much when I forged in the contours of the hammer. And anyway, this one's not going to go out the door to anybody, but I'm really excited about how this punch is working, and I just got to get myself a block built so we can actually use the drift as well. Alright guys, well unfortunately this hammer is going to be scrap, I think, because I closed up that eye and then reopening it, it's got those little, you know, slits on each, and I don't know, it might be salvageable. But the important thing is that we made and tested some new tooling today, and I'm really happy with the way the punch is working. That is absolutely essential and it's going well. The drift, I'm really happy with that as well. Nonetheless, you know, because even though we have those little issues there, we've got a nice even eye drifted here. Really happy with that. I might have to source some wider handle material though, because I think that's a little bit wider than the eye that I have been using, but that's what I want. That's preferable. So that's a great, nice and straight. Everything it's going well. I'm happy with the progress. We're that much closer, getting very close, in fact. And so stay tuned. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video.